Hello everyone and welcome back to another assorted Australian politics video. My name's Nick and today we're going to be going over the absolute mess that is British politics at the moment. So I think a good place to start for this is the 2024 UK general election. Labour Party, they're under Keir Starmer, won in an absolute landslide, which you can see here, 411 seats. I think the only thing that's bigger than that was Blair in 1997 and 2001. So it's a pretty big win. I think this is Conservatives' worst share ever. I'm pretty sure, just here. And it was really revolutionary, Admittedly, it was on a very, very low percentage of the vote, just 33.7% here. But still, it's a very solid majority and you wouldn't expect much to change. You'd think maybe by the time of the next election, which latest it will be is 2029, so probably realistically about then, you think, probably not a lot will have really changed. Well, no, because if we go to the opinion polling, the government's gone from 34% to 23%. That's 10% down. That is not good. And so you think, what's caused that? Well, there's so many factors. The first one, I think the real elephant in the room, what you probably clicked on here, expected me to say, is Reform UK. They existed at the last election and they won 5 seats. They won Ashfield, I think that's Lee Anderson, former Conservative, Boston Skegness, I'm pretty sure. I don't quite know what this one is. That one, I think he's an independent now. Then obviously Clacton, which is Nigel Farage. So they were a thing, but not 29%. It looks like they're going to be the next government, realistically, if the election was today. And you might be thinking, well, surely Labor still has a leg in this after this kind of majority. Well, no, because the MRPs, it's Reform are winning. And I don't think anyone would be expecting this, especially not just over a year after the election. It's quite shocking, really. And it's everywhere. They're winning ground in Scotland and in Wales. There aren't really much polls. They're in the Midlands. They've significantly increased in London. So realistically, so looking at the MRPs, Reform will probably get at least 200 seats with the elections tomorrow. So it's shocking. And a lot of that's going to come from Labor, because Labor are down. The polls are saying that Labor's going to be down to 126 from 411. So it's going to be a massive Reform tidal wave. So I'll go to the MRP here. And I think a lot of this is really going to come, I think Nigel Farage and Reform, they're going to try and do the strategy that federal Liberals tried at the 2025 election, where, they try to target outer suburban, kind of whitish electorates. And the thing is, for the Liberals it failed. But here it's working. All of this area, like we're seeing places like Hull and like Yorkshire, and that's all gone. So all this, which used to be a mix of Conservative and Labor, that's all going Reform. So that's going to hurt both. There's already massive vote splitting between the Conservatives and Reform, and that's part of the reason how Labor are able to get 411 seats in the first place. So it's just all coming crashing down for the British government. And I haven't even talked about the Jeremy Corbyn Sultana Party. Hasn't really been included in many polls yet. But when it is, that's only 4%, but still, the vote splitting on that is 4% that isn't going to Labor. And Labor, if they're going to have any chance at the moment of fighting Reform, then they're going to need that 4%. And that's probably going to hurt them. And I imagine a lot of your party's votes, or whatever the name ends up being, that's going to hurt Labour in a lot of, like, their heartlands. That's going to hurt them in places like central London. We've already seen Jeremy Corbyn go. There was one poll, I'm pretty sure, that had, I don't know, so don't quote me, but I feel like it had Keir Starmer's seat, the Prime Minister's seat, going to your party. Probably would not at all surprise me if they went a whole bunch around this sort of area, like more inner city. And then there's talks of them like doing deals with the Greens and that, because the British Greens are a thing. So, long story short, I don't know. And then it's the matter of the Conservatives. They're going down too. Like, the last election, I can probably see it here. Last election, they were at 24%, 25%. Now they're at 17%. So all that stuff's going to reform too. They're going to lose seats too. So it's just basically massive gains for reform at the expense of both Labour and the Conservatives. So it's probably going to be a hung parliament like we've never seen before. Like, it'll just be Reform and Labour as the two largest. Conservatives probably still there in some fashion, and then there's every chance that Liberal Democrats and other parties, SNP is expected to gain in Scotland too, which will also massively hurt Labour. So it's just all a mess at the moment. And so, I'm sorry that there's not really a conclusion to this, but it's just... and there are steps that each party can take to negate the effects. First one is dump Starmer. He does not seem to be Labour can dump Starmer. I'm not going to come out in favour of any positions because I'm not British. I don't know British politics. Because while Starmer's got his... Oh, I hadn't actually seen that. I was going to say Starmer's got the lead on Badenoch, but does he? But he's... even against Farage, Farage is gaining on Starmer. So I think Starmer is definitely going to be a liability for British Labour moving forward. He's going to hurt them because I don't think anyone really expected greatness from him, but he just seems to have, from what I've seen, he seems to have let people down almost, and they're angry, they're not happy, which is why we're seeing opinion polling like we've seen. But the question is who replaces him, because you either have to risk a by-election, which we saw what happened in, I think, Runcorn and Helmsby, which Reform won for Labour, or you pick someone who's in Parliament, who then is going to be tied closely to Starmer and his government. So it's really a lose-lose situation for Labour. They're stuck. I don't know what's going to happen here. But the other thing to remember is, obviously, next election is due by 2029. I can't imagine Starmer will want to go early, given these numbers. So, or at least it definitely wouldn't be soon. It'd be probably 2027, 2028 at absolute latest. So, I don't know. And yeah, who's going to be leader then? I don't know. I've also heard there's a fair bit of talk against Kimmy Badenoch. So, is she going to be leader? I don't know. There's so many unknowns and British politics at the moment. And I think just the UK as a whole, from everything I've read, is just a chaotic mess. And as I said, I'm sorry there's no point to this video, but it's something that has been on my mind that I wanted to talk about, but I just didn't know how. But yeah, so going back to what I was saying earlier, I think it's really going to be like parts of the UK like this, like North East England, like a lot of the blue collar places that are really going to be hurt by this. So like Newcastle, I don't know where I'm clicking, by the way. I know nothing about British politics. It's like Hull, maybe probably areas like here, like maybe Lee. Well, actually, we've got the MRPs, so there's not really much point in me going over this. But just check them out. They're probably more useful than relying on me. But anyway, that is the situation at the moment for the UK. If anything changes, I will let you know. And I guess if you're not British, be grateful that you're not caught up in this. But otherwise, I will see you at some stage. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.